Episode 9 of Thursday Thoughts. Do you need SAE or imperial wrenches to work on equipment nowadays? Just driving back from getting a hydraulic hose made. I had to do still working on, I guess, a 470. It's an older one with an Isuzu engine. One of the pilot lines from the pilot signal manifold all the way back to the right pilot controller in the cab had a crack in it. So those are fun. Hose is probably like 10 feet long, maybe a little bit longer. But I've been getting a lot of questions about if you need SAE wrenches to work on stuff nowadays. So I can't speak for automotive. I don't know. I don't work on automotive. Well, very little. Not an automotive expert. I'm not an expert in anything, but as far as equipment and trucks go, on trucks, it's starting to go more towards cars. I've noticed that a lot, but you still do need SAE stuff or imperial if you're working on trucks, just because trucks still, like a lot of axle manufacturers and a lot of suspension work and stuff like that, still use standard bolts and stuff. So that's definitely something you're gonna need a lot of times too, like depending on the engine or the transmission, there's still quite a bit of SAE stuff on trucks. And as far as equipment, yes, absolutely. You need SAE wrenches, SAE sockets. You need all that stuff. So a lot of people don't understand, like I posted a video about the hydraulic fitting being a weird size. So hydraulic fittings and hoses are notorious for being not in spec at all. They vary all over the place. Sometimes they vary, an eighth of an inch, 16th of an inch. But JIC is an SAE standard. So even if it's a Japanese excavator, like a JCB or something like that, JIC is an SAE standard. So the threads are SAE and the fittings are SAE. Yes, they have, in recent years, a lot of fittings have been converted to a metric size, kinda. O-ring face is also an SAE standard. So even if it's a Japanese excavator or something like that, it's still an SAE standard that they're using. So there is JIS, which looks just like JIC. That's a Japanese standard, so that is metric. And then also, like if you work on attachments. So when I worked at the cat dealer in California, we had a bunch of mowers. Like they were like for mowing hillsides and stuff. They went on excavators. So those were made locally. So everything on those was standard. All the bolts, all the hardware, there was like nothing metric on it. So a lot of that stuff, like if you were working on like scraper boxes or any kind of attachments like that, that's not like from the manufacturer, like from Cat, like those mowers weren't from Cat. They were from, I forgot what the name is, but like FAE I think makes one too. So all that stuff is going to be SAE. It is. So the whole notion about people saying like, oh, I don't need standard stuff anymore. You still do. And then another good example is pullers. So like if you have like a gear puller or like some kind of a puller like that, most of that stuff is standard or imperial or SAE. So another quick little thing. So SAE is Society of Automotive Engineers. And a lot of times that term gets put in place of like imperial wrenches or standard wrenches. So I guess you're supposed to call it imperial. So it's kind of an interchangeable term, but it's really not what it means. SAE, like a SAE bolt is like a fine thread bolt. That's really what it comes from. Society of Automotive Engineers is fine threads, basically. You might not need as much variety of standard sockets. Like I don't have standard semi-deeps, which I have metric semi-deeps. I just got a set of standard swivels. So you might not need a variety, but you still need at least a set. But standard wrenches, yeah, you're going to use those a lot. And then a lot of other things, like a lot of Boss fittings and stuff are 1 inch, inch and a 16th, inch and an 1/8. So a lot of that stuff, U-bolts, a lot of U-bolts are large, standard bolts or standard sizes. If you have thumbs or like grapples or something like that, a lot of those bolts and stuff are going to be standard. So you still need you still need standard stuff. You can't get around it right now. And then like hose clamps, a lot of those hose clamps are, you know, 5/16 or 1/4 inch, or sometimes like turbo clamps and stuff for 3/8. So you need that stuff. Some sizes are interchangeable. I did a video a couple weeks ago about what you should get to start out for your first initial tool haul. So go check that out. You can honestly maybe not get a high end set if you really don't use the SAE stuff as much. Maybe get like Icon or a slightly cheaper brand. You don't get Snap-on or whatever. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. There's also a PayPal link down below. If anybody would like to donate to the channel, that'd be much appreciated.